Hello, everybody, and welcome to my 5th anniversary of the JHM Spotlight. And I decided to bring somebody fun on the show. I'm James Lott Jr., your host. And we talked years ago on one of my other shows, and I decided to bring him on today. And I said, let's talk and catch up with him and see what's going on. And I'm so happy to have him. You know him from so many different things, like from Twin Peaks and Bold and the Beautiful and Days of Our Lives, and AMC and Port Charles and all these other things. But of course, you know him as Duke Lavery on General Hospital when he was on there. Emmy winner. And my buddy, Ian Buchanan. Hi, Ian.
How are you, James? Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
Same here. Now, I want to ask you, I ask everybody, of course, because it's a strange time period. How are you doing during this pandemic?
I'm good, actually. Pretty fortunate. I like being at home. I mean, I always kind of I'm sort of probably doing more right now from home than I ever did. And the one thing I didn't like over the past couple of years was leaving home to go to work. So now I don't have to. It's like, great, I'm here. I get out and walk every day and do some things. And I don't really see many people, but that's all right. It's good. Strangely, it's all right. It's kind of like,
I get it. Ian,
I check in with people that I used to meet for cocktails. We do a happy hour on Friday on House Party, where everybody has to dress up, and it's kind of fun. It's sort of interesting. It's the thing that amazes me is how adaptable everybody is. So I have a few people in my life who complain and think but I'm like, I don't. There's no point for me. There's no point. So I don't.
There isn't. And how do you like apps like this Zoom House Party? I mean, how are you getting used to these?
I got used to them because I have gotten used to them. I wasn't at the beginning.
Yeah, me too.
Even self-taping stuff just was so odd to me. The idea of sitting at home talking to yourself was just it's the closest thing to madness, I think. I've never been a read my lines out loud person on my own. Never, ever. So I completely was like, no, I can't do this. Now I've kind of got used to it. Somebody kind of talked me through setting up a few lights and stuff and make things look like sort of, just how to, make it look good. So I'm good. I'm happy with it. I don't mind it. I like it. It's I grew up with radio and I've always loved radio. So now it's like radio with a little visual, which I love. It's it's a great format.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've had a few host auditions during the COVID thing. They're people are getting stuff, kind of getting stuff in order. So let's come back and do it. And it was kind of weird to do it through this kind of stuff. Usually you go to the studio and then you kind of do your little thing. And it was like, oh, so I'm going to stay home and kind of perform for you at my home. Okay, got it. Okay, that's right. It was a little strange at first.
Well, for some people, that's all they know. But for the rest of us, it's kind of...
Yeah. I've been in the business a little long, a little while.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, it's kind of like it's who knows where this will lead, and who knows how everything will change. And I'm very hopeful. I mean, I think things will be worked out, and things will. And also, as I said, people are very adaptable, and they're adapting to a whole new format of entertainment, and especially younger people. They're just, I mean, I personally love high quality scripted drama and whatever, comedy. Yeah. I could adapt to watching something like with 6 characters. It's reminds me of Hollywood Squares, but that's all right. That's kind of, or the Brady Bunch, but it's fine.
I saw a play the other day done on. Speaking of that. And we were just really, really curious. I watched it for the technical thing. I mean, I wanted to support the person, of course, who was doing it, people were doing it, but I wanted to see the technical thing of it.
Right.
They did a great job, actually. And after a while, they did 45 minutes intermission, 45 minutes. No, 45 minutes intermission, half hour. So like at regular time, you would do something. But it was very interesting how they did it all from their homes. But the story was about dating online. I guess they made the story kind of fit the Zoom stuff.
Wow.
And I was very impressed how they used it, and everybody brought their A game. I mean, all the actors were good, and it flashed boxes and things. So technically, it was very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I did get lost in the story. I totally got lost in the story after a while.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. It was called When Love Meets Corona. That's what it was called. And it was very, I give points. I was very impressed. I mean,
What was it called?
When Love Meets Corona.
Well, that sounds like a weekend in Cabo.
Exactly. I was like, what am I going to watch? I had no idea what I was going to see.
Yeah.
But but they had a director, and they had a person, a host come out first and talk about it, what's going on. And the technical part that was most interesting was the beginning, before they started, when people started populating in, telling, okay, go on mute, go off screen, do this. They had to really explain that over and over again for all of us who are just like, how do we watch this and not be on screen? Like, they had to direct us.
Wow. Interesting.
There's about 100 people at one point watching. I was like, okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good for something like this. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it's funny you say that. I think Zoom and things like this are going to be part of now the future of entertainment, I think, at this point.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean? It's one of those things where it's like this stuff and IG and all this stuff is becoming this big thing now. It's like, I don't think it'll go away afterwards. I think it might be. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a series on Zoom. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think there are a couple already.
Oh,
I think Joanna Johnson created one that's called Love in the Time of Corona, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So she has one already that she's sold. So she's doing that right now.
See, as I said, so I think it's gonna be a player of some sort. A player of some sort. Because you and I remember when streaming first started and it was web. So is this gonna last? Is this gonna work? Who's gonna watch it? And now everybody's watching it.
Yeah.
We're in the embryonic stages of this.
Yeah, we are. Just as the daytime Emmys return to network.
Okay, Ian, isn't that crazy? When I got the announcement, I'm like, but we can't go. Like, I go to the Emmys I go to the Emmys every year. Like, I can't go to the Emmys. But it's going to be on national TV again, finally on networks. I'm like,
yeah. It's funny. The whole thing. I find everything right now. There's a sense of irony, which is kind of a luxury. But I'm so used to people over the years saying, "Oh my God, it's so great. I feel like you're in my home every day," and I'm like, okay, here we are. I'm in my home and your home now, maybe in some degree every day, like in my home and your home. So that's like
yes, it's very interesting. Did you watch the story of soaps that was on the other night?
I did.
So what do you think about it?
I did not anticipate it would take the turn. I should have known that it would, because it would be inevitable. I was a little saddened they did, and I was glad they pulled it back pretty quickly. But I don't agree with that. So personally,
Same here.
I don't think, we all know, and we were all there. Well, I certainly was, when, people in the position to make that decision chose to take the shows off and follow a trial and lose 50% of their audience. Their audience were not watching the trial. The audience were so upset and so angry at being treated so poorly. I remember it. It was like really pretty horrific, And a lot of them never came back, they never, but it doesn't mean people don't. Everything is, and I've said that, like scandals, like, the Grey's Anatomy, everything is soap opera. Twin Peaks was a soap opera. Everything is a soap opera. So, this whole, I have friends on them and I have friends involved in them, but the whole housewife thing to me is not entertaining in the slightest. I don't think watching people being badly behaved, mistreating other people and pretending it's real is not. There's the wonderful barrier when it's scripted and you're not an actor. You have that freedom, you have that license, that liberty. But I don't like the lashing out and the press and all this, like, to build people up and stuff. It doesn't. I don't think it does. And I even back to the early days of reality, when we saw one certain person like take her keys and throw them at the valet parking person, I knew that was the end of. It was like, this is not a good thing. It's not a good thing for humanity. It's not a good thing for society. It's not a good thing for decency, human decency, common decency. It's not a good thing. So I just don't think any of it's good. So, and so whatever, it's fine. But, I don't. I don't subscribe to it. Let's put it.
I don't watch it either. So I mean, I agree with you. I watched it. I watched it, and I was like, okay. But obviously, I told people it's on ABC, so it'll be ABC heavy, of course. Which I understood that part. Like that didn't bother me. So it was good they talked about certain things about what ABC did and what Agnes Dixon did and what.
No, I loved all of that. You see, that's the thing that I kind of. I mean, I just watched Ryan Murphy's series Hollywood.
Oh yes, yeah.
And that's the thing. The thing I loved most about that, interestingly enough, were the female characters. Were the way these women were. But I remember getting in the business, like in the early '80s, mid '80s, to great, like Gloria Monty.
Oh yeah.
And these women were like that. That's what they were like. There were these people who kind of carried torches for everything. They were so progressive. They were so. I mean, they were amazing. They were like tough in a man's business, in a man's world, but they were sort of really kind of fascinating. They really, I thought they were great. I loved them. Even Lee Phillip Bell was just such a wonderful.
Yeah.
She was a nurturing, wonderful woman. But I loved that they covered all of that. I loved. I don't think they covered the history of Days quite enough, or the history of Y&R and B&B quite as much as they could have done. The fact that those two shows basically started in Chicago, right, with the fax machine,
right?
Right. Which is kind of what Y&R did, which is really kind of extraordinary. That's fascinating to me. So,
me too.
So. But
I know, and
I loved it. I loved it. Covered all my friends. I got to see tons of people that covered all the good, the topical, the stuff that was really kind of, I liked it.
I'm thinking right now, you've been on 3 of the 4 soaps that are out right now.
Yeah, I did 2 days on Y&R actually. I did
all 4. Okay, been all 4.
I did a crossover from B&B. I think James went there.
Okay, makes sense. Well, it's been funny. They've been shown. They haven't shown any of your stuff yet, but they've been showing the back, the back catalog on Y&R and B&B. It's been very interesting.
Yeah, they showed a wedding last week. I think somebody said they said it was Brooke's wedding. I said, well, that gives us many. That's many.
Yeah, I know. It's not about to say.
Brooke and Bridge. I said, okay, that could be like, and I think it was. I was at the wedding, so it must have been either Malibu or somewhere.
Yes. I interviewed her the other day. I know Kathleen Kelly, and I said, "Do you remember all your last names?" She goes, "All that matters is I was a Forster many times, and that's right, girl. That's all that matters. You made these other people, but Forster. We were laughing about that. I love her to death, and she's nominated for an Emmy again tonight. So,
yes, brilliant. I'm so glad. Yeah, that was interesting. Congratulations to all of them. Finola and Rebecca.
I'm going to ask you, Finola, your girl.
Yeah, and she and I think we spoke yesterday, and I don't think she realized it was today, and I had no idea. I'm not really. I mean, I actually judged some of them, but I didn't know when they were coming out.
Yeah, nobody knew.
Yeah,
that's right. But congratulations for Miss Finola for lead actress.
Yes, and Rebecca Budig and Kathleen Kelly Lanning, and nice mixed, kind of nice, interesting group actually.
I think so too. Maura West, they're all nominated. So it's going to be very interesting to see who it's going to be interesting to see how they present these Emmys.
Yeah,
going back to that, it's like it's going to be virtual, I guess, and people's homes. It's going to be very interesting how they do this. Very, very interesting how they do this.
Yeah, I kind of laughed when I thought that just looking at the names, it'll be interesting if they ask them to have their previously won Emmys stacked up behind them. I was thinking how funny that will be. I may rent mine out. Just I don't know. It'd be nice for somebody just. I may offer that.
Why not? Like which room you want to sit in while you're sitting there, and all of a sudden these Emmys behind you. Like like Finola Hughes.
Yeah,
she has an Emmy. She has her Emmy sitting there. She has her Emmy at home. So
yeah, she does.
Very interesting. I know. I love that. I mean, we talk about soaps and stuff, and and GH is still on the air. I mean, people still want you back on the show. That must be very just humbling, wonderful, nice. I mean, how does that feel?
How does it feel that people would like me back on there?
Like they still keep saying your name. They keep saying, "Dude."
Yeah. I mean, it's fine for me. I'm sure it annoys somebody, but it's it's totally fine. I mean, I go like, yeah, that's fine. That's lovely. Like,
I'm trying to think. So you played it originally all those years ago. What? How many years you play it? Kind of.
It was only 3 years. I mean, that's the extraordinary thing. It was like 86 through 89, then a little bit in 90, I think.
Yeah.
And then back for the 50th, which was How many years ago was that? 8 years
like,
ago? No.
yeah. That was like 6 years ago. I think 5, 6 years.
6 years ago, and then I was there for I think 3 or 4 years again. So
Oh.
that was not like it.
I remember I talked to Wally Kurth, and he had started out on Days of Our Lives,
Right.
and then he did General Hospital all the years, of course. And he said when they asked him to come back, like 19 years later, he said he just never thought in a million years that they would ask him back. But that is a soap genre. You got to ask back for the 50th. You haven't been on since the 90s. I mean, it's just an interesting field of work. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's interesting. I think because I've like done so many other things and so many,
Yes.
even within like this, the genre, but other things too. I kind of knew where how things had changed. But if I had gone from, and how things had adapted and the way people worked had changed. But if I had gone from like 89 and then not stepped foot anywhere till I went back onto General Hospital, I would have been like, I would have lasted maybe like half a day. I would have maybe, I do not know. I mean, I at least had, it takes a whole different stamina, a whole different, the pace is so different. There's no, but I knew that because I'd done other stuff and seen it changing. I'd done Days, and Days was kind of, the pace of Days was pretty sped up, but it was, it's interesting. It's a great, it's amazing what they can churn out every day. It really is.
So why do you think it still gets this kind of stepchild, reputation? I mean, it's one of the hardest working mediums in media. I don't get why.
Yeah, I never, it's so interesting because I never, like being involved in it, I never really felt that. I was usually always doing other stuff anyway in tandem with it when I was doing it. So I never really felt like any of that. I never really felt that there was a stigma against it. I loved it. I mean, I thought it was, I mean, for me, it's just great storytelling, and it's like, you've got to put your heart into it every single day. You've got to do your best, bring your best. And sometimes, I mean, I think you've got to be careful not to be over the top. And I think there's a lot of, that's what people kind of associate someone with, and that, but if you don't, I mean, you can go like full on without being over the top. It's like, you make it real, you make it honest, you're telling the truth, you really put, you have stakes, you put, it's like John McCook said, you wear your heart on your sleeve. It's like, on the outside, you do a film or you do prime time, you wear your heart like tucked away on the inside, and it kind of just reveals very subtly and but not with soap operas. I never addressed that, actually. I mean, I love that you asked me that, but I've never addressed that. It's so funny. It's like I never because it's interesting because there used to be, was it 2 full pages of People magazine every week were devoted to soap opera. And there used to be, how many magazines? There were 12 magazines. Right, everywhere you looked, there were, so there was no stigma. I never really I don't really sort of, I think, I don't never address it. So there you go.
There you go. But then let's switch things. Then years ago, you were on a show that's a cult classic, Twin Peaks. That was something that hit the culture. I remember when it first came out, it was huge. I mean, it was huge. Those first, kind of like, we're all watching it. Back in 1990, we were all watching it. Oh my God, every episode was like the Stranger in the last episode. And you were in that. So I mean, then you were in something that was very critically acclaimed. I always feel like it's these two things. I mean, it's like so interesting to me that you're in a show that lasted 1 season, 1.5 seasons back then, that lived on. It's very interesting. So yeah, so like Twin Peaks was just like this critically acclaimed show that lasted a season and a half or whatever. So I mean, what was that like for you, being on something that was nationally talked about? Okay, answer the question about Twin Peaks.
Right.
And so what was that like, just being on that kind of show? That was big.
It was very exciting. I sort of was, I was very, I mean, there was a great buzz about it, and I wasn't really very familiar with the show, but I had met David and did a commercial campaign for Calvin Klein with him.
Oh.
And he asked me to come along and meet. And so I met. And I got on the show, and I was very excited because then, people told me, like, it's this great show. It's really dark, and you'll have fun. It's really kind of dramatic. And then, of course, I got there, and it was like I was playing like a soap opera love triangle. It was like very.
Yes, you were. It's so funny.
We were doing a little soap within this kind of like highly dramatic, intense, like, blowing trees. And we got to be a little part of that, but we were this little kind of love triangle in between it. And I loved it. I mean, I loved working with Harry. I loved working with Kimmy. I loved working with, like, all the cast were just great. Like, and I still do Twin Peaks stuff. I do Twin Peaks, We unfortunately had to just cancel the Cleveland thing. There was a Graceland thing after this Corona stuff started. So, but I'd still see them all and catch up with them all and go to London and do a festival there. So it was great. It was a wonderful, I mean, it's like, General Hospital. It was like, they were kind of back to back, and they've continued to be this wonderful thread throughout my life, like that doesn't ever kind of fade or doesn't really tarnish. I think maybe gets a little tattered here and there, but it's all right. It kind of still weaves its way through and kind of gets picked up, and suddenly it's kind of, it's always been just wonderful. I'm sort of, even Garry Shandling show at the same time as General Hospital and Twin Peaks was kind of like a whole, it's still a major part of my life, like it's an extraordinary part of my life. So
I want to ask you, I didn't ask you this last time I talked to you, because I loved Garry Shandling. I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan. I mean, and may he rest in peace. What was it like? What really was it like working with him? I mean, like
he was great. I mean, I didn't even now, like, especially with him passing away, like I got more of an understanding of like where he came from and his comedy, where his comedy had developed and everything else. I found them to be hysterically funny, very supportive, very encouraging for me with comedy, like very, I would run from General Hospital across to him, then accommodate my schedule across, do rehearsal, then run back to GH and be like, and the one time there was this whole kind of, well, GH won't let you off. You got to work, and you got to, they just wrote the show around GH and took the whole, all the Shandling people, they rented the soundstage and came there and did the part of the show there, which was just extraordinary. So I found it wonderful. It was a great, interesting. But the more I think, as I reflect upon it, as we all do these days when we have a lot of time in our hands, I reflect upon just, just the details of it and how rich it was for me, how just wonderfully rich, all happening very quickly, of course, like everything else. So not some, I don't think I was unappreciative, but I certainly now am probably more appreciative of just how wonderful, what a great experience it was. Right? And being around him was wonderful. Like great comic person.
Did you watch the new Twin Peaks when it came out?
I have not watched much of it. I saw a little bit of it. Yeah. I read about it. People were talking about it. So I didn't.
Yeah, speaking of folks, of things coming back, it just must be interesting for you being in this business for a long time, seeing how things are cyclical. I mean, you're really seeing that some things stay dead and they don't come back, but some things do come back and some things do continue. And it could be years later. Like, you just don't know what's going to hit again, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of, it's, there's a lot. Some things come back with a whole different set of people, but sometimes it's, I don't mind. I don't mind seeing people survive and be older and have gone through. I don't mind that. I find that very encouraging, and I think it's, entertainment tends to be sort of, can either be ageist or else it's not. It doesn't have to be, I don't think. There's some fascinating, wonderful, highly entertaining, like, energetic, like older people, and I tend to think of myself as being one of them. So that's.
Well, you are, Ian. You are. Because you're an actor, so you're looking for your next role. I feel like all actors looking for their next great role, next role.
No, I don't. It's always looking for me. I never look for it.
Oh, I like that.
I never look for it.
Yeah,
I'm always happy to, I have that sort of actors thing, which maybe is more of kind of a British thing. I'm not sure that one day I'll get caught being phony and one day I'll get caught being, so I am always relieved when I get away with it, so if I get away with it and I get to, have it, a little peace and quiet and nobody calls me out on it, I'm pretty happy until the next time. And then I go like, oh, here we go again. Oh, I have to pull it off another time and try to, get away with it. And not like and that's how I've always felt like going in. It's like, oh God, how will I get through this one? So, you do.
So every job he gets like a happy accident or something, like just like it just has like, okay, they want me again. Okay, they want me for this. Sure, okay. I like that.
Pretty much. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I've been fortunate. Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
It probably keeps you humble. It probably keeps you humble on some level. So you like, 'cause you're thinking, okay, they want me again. Sure, okay.
Well, I have no sort of bitterness or animosity because I don't really have any of those stories. So I'm just very. Like, it's nice. It allows me to be kind of humble and I can't say myself I have humility. It allows me to be kind of like always just grateful, which is nice. I like that.
So as we wrap up, as you go forward, I mean, what are some things you would like to do? I mean, in terms of acting, are there roles you would like, or types of roles you would like? I mean, speaking into existence, Ian, like anything you think you would like to try?
I think getting sort of being seasoned, I think, is that the term? It's very funny.
Yeah, seasoned is the word now, Ian. I've been called that gray. Oh, you're seasoned now, James. You're seasoned. Thank you.
Being seasoned, I think it's interesting. I don't know. There are certain things that, I kind of like. It's nice playing like a father, playing almost a grandfather in some areas. It's sort of nice. I like that. I also, it's not even just playing, it's also, I like being an older person, the person that is, because I was fortunate and had older people always when I went to work who were totally supportive and basically said, you don't want to do that. Like, don't do that, do this will be better. So I get to be that person, which I sort of like, and so I like that. So anything I get to do, I get to do it with, with experience and with kind of, a little bit of knowledge, and also it allows me to be generous and not be I'm not a threatened older person. I'm not threatened by younger people in the slightest. So anything I get to do is kind of great because it's a whole, it's even playing Duke as an older person. I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. It was very satisfying for me because, nobody ever expected that character to ever get older. That character was destined to be dead. How many times? I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right.
You can have a past life, but he definitely did not have a future. I didn't really think so.
You had a scene that to me they gave you some good writing when you're talking to Anna about why you were working for Sonny.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
That little monologue you did was really, it was Duke older. It literally was Duke older.
Yes.
Explaining to her what you were trying to accomplish as Duke now on your own. It was a great scene.
I remember that. It was really very well written, and Scott McKinsey directed it, and it was he kept the blocking very simple and allowed it to be kind of organic. And as she and I always have been together anyway, because I would work with her with my back to the camera because I'm kind of like, we're sort of into so yeah, that was. But thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, I like that. I like.
There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers I see because Finola completely reacted to you in her character, sometimes with no words. As you were talking to her, her face conveyed that she kind of got what you were saying. Her character was getting it, but it was still you're on the other side of the law, so she was torn and she loved you. But there were things in that scene as you're talking. She's reacting to your speech. And it's just like you see what she's thinking. You see what she's thinking. Finola's just she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But just like you two were really, it was like a 2-act play. It was like two people going back and forth, and it was a good.
Yeah, we definitely had not just a common sort of we had a language, but we had an unspoken language. And I think a lot of it was trust. And ultimately, we kind of love each other. And it was like we sort of took care of each other and wanted to bring out the best. And that's nice. That's nice. It doesn't happen always, It doesn't happen. We never set out to sort of trap each other. We never set out to, so that was nice. That was, and
do you think that the British connection has something to do with you or no?
I think definitely maybe our humor. I think we have the same humor. We kind of, yeah. It's funny because the other day we were talking and I said something, which I won't repeat. It was so funny. She said, too soon. I was like, too soon what? She goes, it's too soon to make a joke out of that.
Yeah. I love it.
Really? I said, where did that come from? It's never been too soon. It's never been too soon. It's like...
And Finola, she's one of the girls. I like Finola. She's one of the girls. She's like, she's one of the chicks. So I like her. Very cool. Thank you, Ian Buchanan, for being on my show again. Thank you.
Thank you, James Lott. It's a great pleasure. I hope I'll see you. I mean, I'll see you.
I know, on the outside, right? At some point.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? I'm like you. I'm optimistic. I feel like we're going through something that we're humans. We're going to work through it, and some semblance of something will happen that we'll be able to be out and about again.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I mean, and honestly, it may take time, but I hope they have to get it right. They can't really, they can't be sort of. I mean, the good news is I think writers are writing and people are gearing up. So that's the good news. There's going to be lots of great content, and it'll be very interesting content. I think it will be very interesting. There's always great things come from times like this, even though I didn't live through the plague, but we've lived through. We've lived through other things, and people have become very creative, and it just makes, as we talked about things repeating and things. Maybe things won't repeat. Maybe there'll be a whole new way, of telling story and whole new stories and. People are discovering things, I think, about themselves, and people, just about what they are and what life means to them. So that'll be interesting to see that, I think.
I always say, out of crisis, creative things are born.
Absolutely. I agree.
It happens every time. And keep posting pictures of flowers.
I'm a garden
person.
I had a walk today, but I didn't see anything that kind of inspired me. But I did yesterday. I saw lots of beautiful flowers, so I will.
I always post my garden pics too, because I love my garden. I love flowers. It keeps me calm and others calm too.
It does. And it's interesting because people who don't have access to seeing them, they almost feel like you're giving them a flower. So it's lovely. I love that. I'm very happy to do that.
Everybody follow Ian Buchanan, and on Twitter what are you on Twitter again?
Guilt Trip USA.
That's right. And I'm James Lott Jr. and this is J-Swing Spotlight. This is my 5-year anniversary, so 5 years of doing this. Thank you, everybody.
Anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody. And follow us everywhere on JLJ Media and also on all the streaming services. Everybody stay safe and sane.
Yep.